Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I hope everyone is doing great, inshallah. And I hope and believe, inshallah, everyone would have enjoyed yesterday's session with Brother Fawad. It was, alhamdulillah, very informative and covered quite a lot of areas around the Ramadan, alhamdulillah. So I'm sure you must have enjoyed the session. May Allah protect you and bless you all for joining and learning together, alhamdulillah. All right. Today, inshallah, we are going to cover two more juz together, inshallah. And those juz will be juz 11 and 12, inshallah. So please pass on the message to all of your friends and your groups if they would like to join. We are also on YouTube. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe ICOM YouTube channel. As well as if you can like it. So inshallah, this channel can come to more Muslims for more messages to the Muslim community as well as outside of Muslim community as well, inshallah. All right, with the same token, inshallah, we'll move on and we'll start with the quick reflection of what we have done a day before yesterday. If you would have remembered, inshallah, it was Arafah, Surah Araf we covered. We talk about how we entered from Surah Araf and fall to Tawbah as well without Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We talk about the story of Musa alayhi salam, all the azab, the punishments those other aqwam, other nations have gone through, especially about the stuff they were doing really bad for a long time. We talk about Ghazwa Hanin. There was a battle of Hanin. We talk about that. We learned what is the best way of doing sadaqah and what is the best way of doing zakah. And we know at the end that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows every single thing. He knows what's in our hearts, what we are intending for, what is our niyyah, what are our thought process. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything and every secret of ours as well. With the same token, inshallah, we are moving towards juz 11 and 12, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani wa yafqahu qawli. Oh my Rabb, my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please open my chest and make it easy for every one of us, and make my tongue easy that can explain things better, and the words it can say, those can be understood easily, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all on the right path and give us hidayah, give us the ability to speak the straightforward and the truthful word and share the same amongst all of us, inshallah. If I'm saying anything good, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if I'm saying anything bad, it's from my own shortcomings, and I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me and give me the ability to say the right words and the straightforward message to everyone. Disclaimer, as always, I'm not a scholar. It's just learning that we're doing together, inshallah. We're going through this learning process and we'll be learning every day more and more. But the message here is that I can just open a little bit of a door and a reference to all of you where I would expect that you all have to go open the Quran, read the translations, and find the detailed messages. But today, inshallah, we'll continue with Surah Tawbah. We'll enter to Surah Yunus and Surah Yusuf as well, inshallah. We'll learn quite a lot of beautiful topics, and we'll learn, inshallah, a beautiful story where Quran says the beautiful most story in the Quran. And I'll keep that surprise for you all. I'll let you know, inshallah, later at the end when we reach to that point, inshallah. So today's juz in Surah Tawbah, and I'm not sure if I mentioned, well, I did actually, that it does not start with the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim because it's a continuous of Surah Anfal. It goes continuously with that. So if it's not continuing with the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, it's a continuation of Surah Anfal that talks about the wars and how we can have our worldly matters sorted around properly. And the word itself, Tawbah, means that we are seeking for forgiveness. Tawbah literal mean is forgiveness, that we ask for Tawbah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please, I ask for your forgiveness. That is the Tawbah. Tawbah have a few conditions, and the conditions are that you are honest to yourself and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you will never repeat that mistake again. You will try to overcome the shortcomings that you are going through or I'm going through. We'll try to address them. This is one of the very, very, very powerful and the blessed tool from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we have got. What it does is, whatever you have done, you have committed any sins, any mistakes in your life, or if you were negligent to perform your responsibilities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sit for a second, realize yourself what you have done wrong, understand why they are wrong, and understand that you're going to ask the owner and the creator of you, me, and everything around us, everything above us, everything beneath us. We're going to ask the creator of everything for forgiveness, that, oh Lord, oh the King of the Kings, oh owner of everything, please forgive me. I committed a mistake and I will not do it again. Or I have done a lot of mistakes. I will stop from now onward. And you all here, I think you're 6 or 7 here, today, just for 1 second, close your eyes maybe, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying, Astaghfirullah, that I have done anything or everything wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please forgive me. And let me tell you one thing very good, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us at least more than 70 times, more than a mother. And these 70 times, I keep saying everyone that it's not a literal number 70. It's like, as we say that, have I not told you so many times about something? That's what it is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves us a lot. So when we ask for forgiveness for our mistakes, he listens and he forgives you. And you are as a newborn baby. That's how it starts from the beginning. So now you have a chance to write your life again. Yeah, there's some conditions that some of the things can be forgiven, some things cannot be forgiven. Some sins that you have to go ask the individual you have hurt, maybe if you were like in fight with someone, for example, you have to go to that individual and ask for forgiveness maybe. But if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at least you are bari, you are free. Remember we learned the word bari yesterday, like you are free from haququllah. There are 2 haquqs on us. Remember we talk about haququllah and haququl ibad, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the rights of people. So Allah will forgive all of his rights as soon as we say astaghfirullah. And then if we know the people that we have done bad with them, we can go and ask their forgiveness as well. Especially Ramadan is the best time when everyone's heart is soft. Everyone is thinking with the heart more. Everyone is not thinking about shaitan. Shaitan is not around. And this is one more thing I'm going to tell you here is that you're all here and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose you to be here to listen to this good conversation that we are going to learn from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is an ability that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to his chosen people, that will sit together and will learn together. Don't you guys have anything else to do in your life? Don't you have to cook for iftar? Don't you have to take your 2 kids? Don't you have to take them out for play or something? Don't I have to do it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose us for these moments and to collect the bounties of these moments. So if we are chosen, we are blessed and we are forgiven, we are living in Ramadan when shaitan is not around. So what will stop us to do good deeds? Only our nafs, or only inside of us, that will stop us. So in this month, we cannot blame that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan was always deviating me, please forgive me. No, that excuse is not even existing in Ramadan. So what I was saying is, we should be scared and fearful what we are going to do in our life, and especially in Ramadan, if we're making any mistakes or negligent to perform our basic responsibilities to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anyhow, in Surah Tawbah, this juz, it starts with the talk about this Ghazwa at Tabuk. Ghazwa at Tabuk was a battle of Tabuk because it was a fight on the battleground called Tabuk. This was a differentiator, a good differentiator between the Muslimun or Mu'minun versus Munafiqun. So it was a good differentiator between them. There were like 5 different categories the scholars have defined. The people, those who were with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there are 5 categories. And the people, those who were not with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there were also 5 categories of those. It was a clear differentiator of the Munafiqeen. Those were apparently with Muslims, but they were not with the Muslims. Ayah number 98 talks about that there were 2 Arab groups especially. One of them feels spending is a ransomware. Spending on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a ransomware to them. That's what they felt always. Oh, it's a new tax system on us. It's a new obligation on us that we never wanted to pay. It's a ransomware that Prophet is telling us that if you want to stay protected in the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to pay ransomware. And the other group was thinking that it's Allah's love and Prophet's dua and the prayers we are going to get once we spend in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. At the time of the Tabuk, the resources spent for that war, they were all charity and the collection. There were no tax, nothing. At the time, it was all charity. It was all collections from the Muslims. Those who are going to actually battle, going to war with their money and with their life both together. So remember why they did it? For the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and for the prayers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is the approach that the Sahaba at the time had, and that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the ayah number 98. Ayah number 100 talks about that your iman comes first. And if you are the one that have the iman first in all of their matters, in their worldly matters, in their religious matters, in their any matter, if they put the religion and iman first, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them what? Jannatun tajni min adnin tajnin adhar khalidina fiha. Jannatun adnin min khalidina fiha means that Jannat that you will be living in will be for you forever. If you bring your iman first, your religion first, that's the only condition we have here. Moving on, 103, it talks about that Muslims to pay zakah so that their mal, your money, your all the ownership items that you own, they can be pure and neat and clean. That's what the zakah is for. That's why Muslims have to pay zakah for. And your du'as are satisfaction for the Muslims. So this is a message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's saying that Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people pay zakah and they make their rest of the items pure and their life pure, and you make dua for them, your dua is a satisfaction for Muslims that gives us what? A satisfaction in our heart. That's what the dua of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam does to us. When we say Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah to each other, we have to do the same thing for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when we say Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin. So this whole Durood Sharif, that salam thing, it goes actually to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He listens that, he responds to that, and the blessings comes back to us. This is a kind of a dua for us that we even get now from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Each time we say the Durood Sharif, we get a response from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is such a blessing. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks us that there was a fitna at the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There was a masjid, a mosque created. Its name was Darar. There was a masjid of Munafiqeen, and they asked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to come and pray there in that masjid. So what would happen that this masjid will set establishment as a Muslim establishment at a mosque where it's a house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then what happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informed Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that this place is not a place of a Muslim, it's a place of Munafiqeen. So don't pray there. But pray in the Masjid al-Quba. Masjid al-Quba. Masjid al-Quba is for the people, those have taqwa, and those people are Allah's favorite people. So go and pray in Masjid al-Quba, but do not pray in Masjid al-Darar. This was a message for us. The lesson that we learn from here is that we Muslims will have a lot of fitnas and problems and troubles, and only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be able to guide us on the right path. We need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on the right path. We need to understand our religion so we can find a difference between a good and a bad. We need to make sure we learn from that as well. In ayah number 111, it tells us that Ahle Iman, they sold their lives to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will grant them with the Jannah as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never leaves anyone alone. He's the best companion, he's the best partner, he's the best of the best leader that you can imagine. So He's the best justice. He's the best just that we can imagine. So if you have Iman, and we'll talk about what is the Iman and the Sifat or attributes of Iman, are we going to talk in a minute, inshallah. But the message here is I want you to all listen out very clearly that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that if you have sold your lives to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will grant you Jannah. Apparently, this was a message for the people those fought in the Tabuk war, but this is a message for us as well. And the Sifate Ahle Iman, that the people those have the belief, their attributes are explained in the Quran. And as I mentioned earlier, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called us with the different names. Remember, we learned about Mu'minun, Muslimun, Shahidun, Salihun, for example. So we have been learning all those good terms. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is introducing a few more terms for us where we believe that we do not have much attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I think we need to open this ayah number 112 and we need to look at more detail that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the full attention. When you love someone, what you do is you call them with some beautiful names, pet names I should call. You call him Janu, you call him, hey birdie, you call him my lovely, you call him my favorite, you call him my sweet son, my cute baby, you name it. When we love someone, we call them with the beautiful names. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have a lot of names for us as well. So in this ayah, I'm going to talk about the attributes and the names of those people, those hold Iman in their heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that I know those people are who? At-ta'ibun. That's your first name. That's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. What does it mean? Repentant. You are repentant. Al-abidun. It came from abd, which means that you're a worshipper. Al-hamidun. That you do hamd, which means you praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always. As-sa'ihun. Travelers. The way I describe this word, travelers, is that we are traveling in this world, going to our proper place of Jannah. That will be our ultimate destination. So this is something we're traveling at this time. And the people those feel that we are traveling, they don't make this world as their permanent house. They know it's temporary. We are immigrant, we are traveler, or we are here for temporary reasons. We will go back ultimately for time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next one is Ar-Raki'un As-Sajidun. Ar-Raki'un means that you go prostrate. You bow actually. Raki'un, you bow. And As-Sajidun, you prostrate. That's what you do when, that's another quality of the people, those hold Iman in their hand. Al-Amirun, and what they do is they enjoin what is right. And what they do is Al-Amirun bil Ma'ruf. They do what? They enjoin the good ones. They enjoin the good, what is right. They enjoin the right things. وَالنَّهُونَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ, and what they do is they forget what is wrong. They forbid what is wrong. They stop themselves doing that. And one very important thing they do is وَالْحَافِظُونَ لِحَدُودُ. The people are protector of the hududullah, or the limitations defined by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or they are not crossing the limits. They observe the limits. Those are the people al-hafizun li hududullah. Those are the people those stays in the limitations of this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set for us. Ubashiril mu'mineen, and good tidings to the believers. It's one of the beautiful ayahs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us straightforward here that, all right, if you are mu'min with the Iman, these are the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to see in all of us. These are the very basic qualities that we can talk about. Ayah 118 talks about Ghazwa at Tabuk, continues further, that there were 3 ashab. Those were believed by the people, by the Muslims, that they were those were munafiqeen, and they were left behind for no logical reason, really. They were not munafiqeen, they were not kafir, they were Muslims, alhamdulillah, but they did not have any legitimate reason to be a part of the war. And the war was the Battle of Tabuk, and they left behind. So when Tabuk over, they came back and they went back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to all Muslimin, and they said, we ask your forgiveness. We commit a mistake. We know, we understand. Please forgive us. We'll not do it. They were socially boycotted for about 40, 50 days. And they accepted their mistake. And once they accepted their mistake, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted their forgiveness and granted them a forgiveness because they were mukhlisun. They had ikhlas and the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their hearts. And that's 118 number ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about those three ashab karam. And remember the names were Ka'b, Halal, and Marara, I believe. Moving on, 122 ayah number talks about the Farz-e Kifaya. Farz-e Kifaya. Farz-e Kifaya is a fard, not as a Fajr, Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, or Zakat, or Salah, or something. It's a Farz-e Kifaya that someone owns that. And if one does it, it's done on behalf of others. For example, if there is a janazah or it's a death of someone, and now the Salatul Janazah will take place in a masjid. If a Muslim community or one of the Muslim community members from my neighborhood goes and attend them, it's a Farz-e Kifaya done from all of my neighbors or all of my community members, all of the Muslim community members. All right, so this is a Farz-e Kifaya's definition we talk about, that a responsibility from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if one does on behalf of others, it's considered done for all of us. All right, so once we know this Farz-e Kifaya definition, what happened was that some people, when they need to leave for religion, and they need to leave for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they need to leave for the war when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, and they have to leave on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All right, so for example, going to war, for example, going to tabligh, which means preaching of your religion. If you're going to dedicate, that is the best thing that a Muslim can do. It's a Farz-e Kifaya that someone of us have to do this job, that Amre Maruf wa Nahi Anil Munkar, which means that sharing the good things and stopping from the bad things. Some of us have to do the job, have to do this. Otherwise, if we don't do it, the last part of the Farz-e Kifaya that I have not mentioned is that if you do not do it, all of us will be sinful. That's a Farz-e Kifaya. That's something we have to make sure that we all keep learning and sharing. We do Nahi Anil Munkar, Amri Bil Maruf. We stop from the bad things and we encourage the good deeds. That's what Muslims do all the time. So this is what we learn in 122. And this is where we end our surah and we move on to Surah Yunus, again, which is 109 ayahs with 11 rukus. It's a Makkiyah surah, which means it's believed to be revealed in Makkah. And if I say that, what we do, what we think, that most of the rules in this surah belongs to fixing our beliefs. Fixing our beliefs rather than practicing the religion. All right. So 1 to 70, ayah number 1 to 70 mostly talks about like in a way when it's like argumental dialogue between Islam and the disbelievers, unbelievers. So Islam have an argumental dialogue between them in first 70 ayahs. It's a beautiful way of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is explaining that don't you look at the sun for the light, and don't you see the night, the moon comes in the bright moons come in the nighttime as well, and the moon we set it for your lifetime and then your marks of each year. Don't you see that? Don't you see this sign? And people ask quickly for the worldly benefits from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they want them right away. For example, I want Mercedes, just making up. I want it right now. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please give me now, no, 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 no. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that I give you and grant you with the blessings very quickly. What if I will start punishing you very quickly as well? You will be dead. But you are given a time, a relaxation, some flexibility, that you have the time stretched. You have to wait until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will pull your rope. He's done, he's done. We're done with this person. So it's a dialogue, the way you see this ayah explained. It's a more of a dialogue way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to them, and they're talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the answers have been prepared there. In ayah number 18, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that the mushrik worship the idols. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells them that the idols you worship, you think they're going to give you any benefits or any loss? They cannot. Then how you can worship them? Again, a dialogue style. In ayah number 26, best reward for the good deeds, and you will be entered into Jannah. Your face will be bright on the day of judgment. But if you are doing the wrong deeds, or if you're not on the right path, your face will turn black on the day of Qiyamah, which means that your facial gestures not even will be noticeable. So that's what the black means, that you will not get a nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will get the darkness of zulumat, of the bad deeds that you have performed in your life. 57 talks about that the great advice for you is the Quran. If you're looking for the best of the best advice, open Quran, read Quran. Quran have a cure for your hearts. It has a hidayah, the straight path, the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it's blessing for mu'minun. So remember, again, the good advice for the mu'minun is you have to open Quran, which is a cure of your hearts. Today we feel frustration, depression, all the time some tensions, dissatisfactions, and all those things. We go through them all the times. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that Quran is cure for your heart. If you want to be satisfied, your heart have to be satisfied. So open Quran and recite Quran. In ayah number 62, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Allah inna awliya Allahi la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yakhzanun. So just an ayah before I was talking about, not a few ayahs before, 57 I was talking about, and this is 62 I am telling you, that we want the satisfaction of our heart. So I'm not sure how many of you have noticed, when I was little, if I was doing anything wrong in my house, or let's say I had a fight with my sister or my brother, and now I knew my dad will be home in the evening, and as soon as my dad's time is coming to get home, my heart will start shivering. I'll be scared, I'll be worried, I'll be sad. And now I am thinking that the trouble is on me because I did a wrong thing and I have to take the consequences. So that thing I was talking about, that your heart will get the satisfaction if you have not been good in the worldly matters and the religious matters. Quran is your best advice that will cure your heart. So that feeling, Quran will fix it. And this ayah that I recited, ayah number 62, tells us that Allah inna awliya Allah, unquestionably, for the allies of Allah, awliya Allah, allies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will be no fear. There no fear concerning them, that there will be no fear that you can be concerned of, because you are what? Allies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nor you will, or will they grieve, or never they will be feel sad in their hearts. Wallahum yakhzanun, they will never feel sad or they will have a grief in their hearts. Why? Because they're reciting Quran, they're following Quran, they are on the hidayah, they got the cure of their hearts. That's how they become. One more name is what? Allies of Allah, awliya Allah. This is one more term Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking or addressing us. So these are the people with iman and taqwa, and those are the people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling them that, hey, I told you, you will not be scared, you will not have a grief, you will not be concerning of any fears, because I'm telling you, if you will follow my path, you will be all safe, you will be all happy. And remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never change his words. Allah's words don't change wherever they are. Ayah number 68 talks about that Allah is alone. He don't have a son. He don't have a partner. And again, the dialogue style, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, don't you have any logic, or does it make any sense to you that the thing that you create an idol from your own hands will protect you, save you, and you can worship that? How is it, logical? Benefit or loss? Even if you call them, you're falling down, they can't even come and help you with that. So come with the logic, how you cannot think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is helping you always, and how you can worship those idols who are not going to give you any benefits. So remember, I told you that when you're reciting this surah that we're going through now, and just for everyone's information, this is Surah Yunus. And the style of the Surah Yunus in first 71 ayahs, to my understanding, is it's all dialogue between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and non-believers. So as this ayah also explained you. Moving on, ayah 71, it talks about Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, and he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's guidance was for the people. So it's something that a Nuh alayhi salam have to do it. Even the people will keep telling him that don't want to listen to you. Time out, stop. We don't want to listen to you. Still, it's his job that he will keep preaching, he will keep telling you, and he never asks you for any salary. Just do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ayah number 90 talks about the Bani Israel crossed the sea with the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when Fir'aun came and his army, and they tried to follow the same open path in the sea, water just messed on them. And as soon as he was going to die, he saw the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was going to die at the time when he was his ruh was leaving his body. He said, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Musa, Kalimullah, Rasulullah, and all that. So those words. He was going to say all of those things. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in this ayah, it was too late. His time limit was over. Allah said, we will save your body of Fir'aun. So it's a sign of Allah for the remaining and upcoming generations. And now we know that Musa's, Pharaoh's body is still safe, that we can go and see in Egypt. I think it's in Egypt, so if I'm not wrong. Number 96 talks about Allah's will. It says that if He wants, remember I was telling you the start of our session today, that you are here because it's Allah's will. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you or bless you, that you can get the hasana of those moments of the Ramadan, and we can sit together and learn together. So you're blessed ones of those people, those are here to learn the Quran and the religion. So I am, alhamdulillah. So we are here because it was Allah's wish. Everything happens, remember we talked yesterday as well, good or bad. That's our iman, that's our belief, that anything good or bad comes to us, it comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only and only from Him. Ayah number 98 talks about the people of Yunus alayhi salam. All right, so now we are at the topic, right? So this Surah Yunus. 98 number ayah is the reference that had the name of this surah. It's about the Hazrat Yunus alayhi salam, who was a prophet. His people first rejected Prophet Yunus alayhi salam, but then they repented and believed on him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the message that we get in the ayah number 98, that no matter, even if you get some resistance in the beginning, even if we learned yesterday, a lot of prophets and their nations were destroyed because of their bad deeds, and still there were some, those were forgiven, and there were some good people only, those were kept safe by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a message of for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that yeah, we're telling you that the people, those were bad, and they experienced the bad experience and the punishment and angerness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they were good nations as well. And the Yunus nation was one of the good nations. Those initially thought maybe this is not a right message, not a good message maybe, but ultimately they accepted the message.
The US intelligence community.
So the message here for us is there is always a light in the tunnel.
The military.
Stay hopeful, stay intact, inshallah. Moving on, ayah number 104, it talks about Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will never worship idols. When Kuffar was asking him that, why don't you get back to us? Why you ask us to come join you? And this is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Rasulullah, tell the Kuffar that I will never worship the idols, but only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us His own attributes, that Allah is the one who takes your souls away from your body. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one that is owner of your life. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is the owner of your death. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is the only one we can worship. And no one else can be good or bad to us but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything that comes good to us is from Allah. Everything bad comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if we want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on our side, we need to make Him happy and pleased with our worship and thankfulness. So that's a message I get from this ayah. Ayah number 107, which is again almost a last portion of the Surah Yunus. It talks about that Allah controls everything. Again, as I said before, pain or ease. And whoever Allah choose for his fazl, for his kindness, for his blessings, that's his will, that he can do it. So it's again a message that we are all, alhamdulillah, blessed if we are together on the right path. And if we are not, we are cursed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if we are not on the right path. Na'uz-billah, may Allah protect us all. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all of us to keep us all of us safe and sound in the right path, inshallah. Ameen. So this brings us into the Surah Hud, and a few verses of Surah Hud will get us in the Juz 12 quickly. And I know I have about 15 minutes remaining, inshallah. I'll try to get it done as soon as I can, inshallah. And if you're bored at any point, please start texting me. We're bored, and maybe I'll start sharing some jokes. I don't know if I'll remember some, but inshallah I can try. But if you see something that you're not happy with the session, and happy means that you feel that you're not learning, how we can be more productive. So please let me know, and I'll be happy to, inshallah, adjust the things accordingly. All right, moving along. As I said, that we're starting Surah Hud. Surah Hud is a name of a nation, and this is where the name of the surah came from. It's a Makkiyah surah with 123 ayahs. It has 10 ruku in it. As soon as it starts, it talks about the nature of us, nature of you, nature of me. It talks about right away, directly jumped into that topic, that your and my nature is that once we get a pain, we right away started complaining. Right away, we don't even wait a second or a moment. We started complaining very quickly. And what happens? Secondly, if we are blessed, or if we're getting all the blessings, we don't thank. We don't even think to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What we do is we become arrogant. We get ego. We get a sense of a power. We get a sense of ownness rather than the selflessness. Again, this is again a big topic. I will not touch it right here, but rather than going to selflessness, we come towards some ego and ignoring the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that it's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ignore that. That's a nature of us. That's what we are. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exactly know that, and he's mentioning in the start of the Surah Hud. And he says that the punishment that awaits those who defy God. Those who defy God. So the surah is about a few nations, those defy or refuse or rejected God, those said no to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The nations, those challenged Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, confront or disobey, or they were rebellion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or those resisted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they dared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They disregarded Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these characteristics are mentioned in the meaning of one word, is a defy. So this surah talks about all of those nations, those defy God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our next juz 12, starts from mentioning about the Jannah, that Jannah is always for the people with the good deeds. And if we want to get that, or if we want to be there with Salihin, with Shuhada, with Mu'minin, with the prophets, Nabiyun, Rasuls, if we want to be with them, we have to do good deeds. And if we're not, may Allah protect us all. Ameen. In ayah number 25, Nuh alayhi salam and his nation have been addressed. And it says that there was a boat, and the people were really bad in that nation. So Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam were ordered that, okay, start building a big boat. And people of that town started laughing at him that he lost his mind. How is it possible that in this area there can be a flood or water, or where he can have this boat float? But he started doing it. And at the time when it came to a time where the nation was ready to receive the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided Nuh alayhi salam and said, take your family members, those are on the right path. Take your friends, those are on the right path. And the people with Iman with you, and the pairs of each kind of an animal, have them all come join you on the boat. So when this was happening, Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam was on the boat and he called his son, Canaan, I believe his name was Canaan. I could be wrong, but I believe his name was Canaan. So Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam called his son and says, come on, ride with us. He said, although it's raining and it seems like flood is building up, but I will be on the top of mountain. I'll be good. I'll be safe. You guys go ahead. He was not one of the believers. And finally, the water raised and it destroyed every single thing in the world, but there was only water, nothing else. And there was a boat, there was a Nuh alayhi salam, his family, and the pairs of animals. After so many days, it happened. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in returns of the prayers of Nuh alayhi salam, asked the earth to absorb all the water, asked the sky to stop throwing the water on the earth. And then water dried and boat stopped at a Kohe Judi. Kohe Judi is believed to be a place where this boat landed. And from there, the whole mankind started again. That's what is one of the school thoughts that think about this one. Ayah number 50 talks about the Ad, which was another nation. It was a nation of Hazrat Hud alayhi salam, and they were also refusing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they were destroyed. As we mentioned yesterday as well, but I mean day before yesterday, there was Saleh alayhi salam. His nation was Samud, and there was a female camel. They left in them, and they could kill the camel, and they were punished because they were not listening and they were crossing the limits. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, we learned about this one, that he was given a bashara. Bashara is good news from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he will get a son, even he was very old at the time. And he requested, O Rabbul Alameen, please save my nation, Lut, don't destroy them. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them that no, even if you're asking, I know you're the very good person and prophet and everything, but the time limit is over for them and they're going to be destroyed. Decision have been made. That tells us that once Allah's decision is made, we're done. There's no more arguments, no more questions, nothing else can happen. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we stay on the right path and we're not amongst those people, those who are cursed or punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we wanted to be on the good straight path. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he do not finish the limit of the time on us without us being good Muslim human being and good followers and believers, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us all on the right path. Ameen. Going on further, it talks about Hazrat Lut alayhi salam, and it's ayah 77 that Hazrat Lut alayhi salam was Rasul of a Sadum nation. They called it Sadum, I believe is the nation's name. And they were destroyed with the stones from the sky on them. Each stone was spotted, was signed kind of a stone that was coming and killing them. It's a long story, but there was the Lut nation that was also destroyed. Hazrat Shuaib alayhi salam was another prophet. There was the prophet of Madian nation, and they also got the azab from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were not listening to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Muslim Ummah, the believers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam here, it tells us that, O believers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because you are doing Atiullah wa Atiur Rasul. So let me tell you that all the skies and the earths, so it's a plural for both the words, skies and earths, they do follow Allah's orders. So rely on him, rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, worship him, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah is not ignorant of our actions or of our deeds. That anything we do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching us and known of those things. So inshallah, we will not be the ones those are cursed or those were cursed in the past, and we will be returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on timely manner and in a good way, inshallah. So this concludes the Surah Yunus, and we enter into the next surah that's also named after one of the prophets, Yusuf alayhi salam. It's a Makkiyah surah. It has 111 ayahs, and it has 12 rukus. And this surah actually tells us a story of Yusuf alayhi salam in a very great detail. And Quran says, remember I mentioned one surprise for you all, that it says the very beautiful story. In this story, you will find maybe a few spots where you can refer the life to yourself, the story to yourself, that yeah, this happened to my life. This happened, this was a part of my life too as well. So the story is a story of a son and a father and their deep love, and a story of a beautiful man where the women were attracting to him and he was fearful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This story is a story of the siblings. They have love of each other and they have a hate for each other. It's a story of someone, a son that was a prophet and the father that was a prophet, Yaqub alayhi salam. So it's a story of a belief that you don't see things, but you still believe in those things. It's a story that you see a dream of Allah, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have asked someone for the meaning of it, and you believe that the dream was true. It's a story of a belief from your heart. So quickly, I will touch this, and inshallah, we'll wrap up the session in next few minutes. Inshallah, alhamdulillah, I'm still on time and covering as much as I can in this small time. Yusuf alayhi salam saw a dream. This is where it starts the story. And he saw a sun, and he saw a moon, and he saw 11 stars. And then he shared this dream with his father, Yaqub alayhi salam, who was also a prophet. And Yaqub alayhi salam knew his 11 sons, and he said, Yusuf, do not share this story with your brothers. They're already jealous of you, and they feel I already love you more than them. So please do not do that. From the story, we also know the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam were jealous of him, and they were always thinking how to get rid of Yusuf alayhi salam. So what they did at the end, there's a long story, but they separated Yusuf alayhi salam from his father. They put him in a deep well, and they came back to his dad, Yaqub alayhi salam, and told him that a wolf ate Yusuf alayhi salam. And Yaqub alayhi salam was really badly hurt, and he was super disappointed. And he said only one thing at the end, and the thing was beautiful thing. He said, only Allah knows what happened to my son, because he was not believing those people, those sons as well. So when they put him in that well, so there was a caravan in old times. The people was traveling by animals or camels or stuff like that, and they were mostly walking and stuff like that. They reached to that well, and they were trying to get some water out of it with a rope and a small bucket of water. They put it in the water, and they were trying to pull the water out. And Yusuf alayhi salam came out of the well, and they found this a beautiful boy, and they kept him as a slave. And they said, we are going to Misr, Egypt, and we'll sell this boy over there. And now they reached to Egypt, and they tried to sell. And Azize Misr, the head of the Misr, one of the rich man, he found this beautiful boy, and he bought as a slave, and he brought it home and told his wife, let's keep it as our son. He's a beautiful boy, and he will give us a lot of benefits later on. So let's keep him as our son. And the wife name definitely would have rang a bell in your heads, maybe already, I'm thinking. If not, then let me say the name. The name of the woman was Zulaykha. So it was a Zulaykha that was the wife of the Aziz Misr, Egypt's leader. And now, Zulaykha was a good woman in general, but what happened at the end, when he looked at Yusuf alayhi salam and his beauty and his full man kind of thing, and she got super impressed, and she kind of like fall in love, maybe, if I can say that. But she went on the wrong side and asked Yusuf alayhi salam for a wrong action, or not a good deed with him. She offered that, and she was in all power and command to do that, and she said it, and she did it. And Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam, when heard that demand, he refused right away, and he said, nope, this is not right, and I'm fearful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will not commit any sin like that. It's considered as rape or whatever you can call it. And he started running away from her, and she pulled his shirt from the back side that it torn apart. And he was, as soon as he was running out of the door, the Aziz Misr showed up, the husband of Zulaykha showed up, and he said, what is going on here? And Zulaykha, like a woman, obviously, she started crying, and she said that it was an action of Yusuf alayhi salam. He attacked me in an action of the rape or something. And Aziz Misr put him in the jail. So Yusuf alayhi salam refused a bad action and ended up in the jail. If he would have done the bad thing, he would have had fun probably at the time, but he would not have ended up in the jail and he could have done like more worldly winning. But he was fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He refused that, and that ended him up in the jail. So now, what happened at the same time, there were a few more stories. What happened? There were two more prisoners in the jail as well. And those two prisoners, uh, they saw two dreams. And they shared the dreams of Yusuf alayhi salam. And Yusuf alayhi salam was given a power from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he can explain that what this dream mean, or does it have any meaning or not. So when they shared the dream, uh, Yusuf alayhi salam explained them that, okay, one of you will be serving the juices or sharab, if we can call it, in the king's palace, meaning you will become very close to the king. And the second one, he said that you saw the dream, and the meaning of the dream is that you will be killed and birds will eat your body. So these were two prisoners there. So in the meantime, something happened, and now king saw a dream after a long time when Yusuf al-Islam was in the prison for a long time. And he asked all the people around him that I saw a dream when I saw 7 healthy cows, 7 thin, very weak cows. So healthy cows were eating thin cows, the weak cows. And I saw 7 plants, those were dried, and 7 plants, those are full, lush green. What's going to happen? What does this dream mean? No one was able to tell or explain this dream to him. So what happened then? One of those two prisoners, one ended up in the king's palace. He said, King, I know someone that is in the jail and he can explain the dream. What does it mean? And he told me, this is why I'm here. And king asked him, okay, tell us, Yusuf al-Islam, what's the meaning of it? He said, for 7 years, there will be a lot of crops in your country. And for the next 7 years, there will be no crops. It will be dryness, complete dryness on the land. So you better, whatever you're doing in the 7 years, save it as much as you can for the rest of the 7 years, and save and act wisely on these things. Now the king said, thank you for the dream, and I appreciate that. In return, I'm going to free you up. And then Yusuf alayhi salam said, nope, I'm not going to be free up unless I've been considered not guilty of it. So Zuleha was called and she said that, yep, he was innocent. He haven't committed any mistake. He's a neat and clean person. So please release him, free him from the jail. So he was freed from the jail. One of the portion I have not mentioned, that's another very interesting part of the story, is that Zuleha at the end was made fun by her friends that how come you can be in love of your own slave or someone like that. So Zuleha brought her friends to her house, gave them a knife and some vegetables or fruits or whatever to cut, and she called Yusuf alayhi salam to come in the same place where the women were going on. And the ladies, when they saw him, he was that beautiful that the women cut their own hands with while cutting fruits or vegetables or whatever they were. So this is a beautiful story that Quran tells us about Yusuf alayhi salam as well. It tells us about the brotherhood, the siblings, the love and hate, and the love of the parents and the father, and all those things. And this is very important that we learn about these things, that why it happened, why, and how we can avoid as parents in our children to not to happen. All these beautiful different lessons we learn from here. With the same note, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all on the right path, and I conclude the session for today. And inshallah, we will be coming together again tomorrow. Please join the session at 6:05-ish. Please invite your friends and family members so we can all be together here. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us all on the right path. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم ورب العالمين. Please listen to our du'as and accept all of our deeds. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ورب العالمين, please grant us the best of this world and the best of the end world, the hasana of the end world. and save us and protect us from the azab of the nar of Jahannam of hellfire. Ya Rabbal Alameen, save us from that. Rabbana la tu'akhidhna in nasina wa akhtana. Or Rabb, do not punish us if we forget to or make any mistakes. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Protect us all. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة من ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقنا عذاب القبر وقنا عذاب الحشر وقنا عذاب الميزان برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.